So that's who I'm talking to right now. Not the you that's worrying about rent or traffic or what somebody said. I'm talking to the chosen one in your seat. Yeah. You heard me. Chosen one. But don't go getting a big head. It ain't about being special in the ego's circus. It's about realizing you're on the roster. You're already in the lineup. The divine didn't draft you to sit on the bench. Which brings me to this whole thing. Sitio sinoen, no enen edtoieitis, yo ourgo time e. Giodis mobilite ypn. See, we've been lying to ourselves. Big, shiny, convenient lies. I'm not ready. I need one more sign. Maybe when things calm down. That's all spiritual Stallin. A slick, self-sabotaging lie. And the spirit within ain't having it no more. The clock ain't ticking on you. It's ticking in you. It's GO time. But how do you move? You don't hustle in the old way, burning yourself out on the hamster wheel. Nah, you plug into God's mobility plan. This ain't your GPS. This is the built-in divine navigation system that's already wired in your soul. It don't take you around the red seas of your life. It parts im. It don't avoid the valleys. It sets a table right there in front of your enemies. Your only job is to acknowledge the signal, turn off the static of the world, and let yourself be moved. This is the ultimate upgrade. From striving to arriving, from pushing to being propelled. So I gotta ask you, what's the first move your inner pilot is signaling you to make right now? The real one? The brave one. Don't just sit on this revelation. If this hit different, if it resonated in your spirit, then do something. Smash that like button to amplify this signal. Drop a 777 in the comments if you're locking in on God's mobility plan. That's your symbolic number for divine movement, perfect spiritual flow. And most importantly, subscribe, because this ain't a one-time pep talk. This is a whole spiritual curriculum for the chosen waking up. The journey's just beginning, and you're going to need your next set of coordinates. You ready to receive That's right. Your divine draft notice. It ain't coming in the mail. It ain't an email with a fancy header you can archive. It's quieter than that, and way more permanent. It's the quiet knowing that hit you in the shower, or in the middle of a meaningless meeting, or in the split second of silence before the alarm goes off. That tug, that whisper, that sense that says, you were built for more than this. That's it. That's the notification. The universe didn't send you a ping. It sent a permanent broadcast, and your soul is the receiver that can't be turned off. You can mute it. You can drown it out with noise and drama and distraction. But the signal is still going. You were chosen not in some exclusive, elitist club kind of way, but in a fundamental, functional way. Like a specific tool chosen for a specific job. The job is the expression of God, of infinite good, of perfect love, right where you are. And you are the exact, precise instrument for that expression in your universe. This isn't about being better than the person next to you. It's about being utterly indispensable to the divine plan, because your role is yours alone. There's no understudy. The draft isn't a suggestion. It's an activation of a contract. You signed with your own being before you ever showed up here. The lying starts when we get that nudge, and we immediately translate it into the world's language. We think, okay, I'm drafted. That means I gotta go get a bigger platform, a louder microphone, a fancier title. That's the ego hijacking a sacred signal. The draft notice is for inner service first. It's a call to report for duty in the kingdom of your own consciousness. Before you move a muscle in the outer world, you're being called to stand guard at the door of your own thinking, to patrol the borders of your own beliefs, and to serve only the truth within. This is the basic training. This is where you learn to distinguish between the voice of the captain, that inner, knowing, and the voice of the recruiters for the world's army, which are always shouting about lack, fear, and limitation. Being drafted means your resources are guaranteed. You think the army that drafted you is going to send you into the field without gear, without intel, without supply lines. Come on now. The infinite source of all that is. Call it God, call it the universe, call it the infinite invisible, has mobilized you. Therefore, everything required for that mission is already in the pipeline. Your supply isn't behind you in your past achievements, and it's not in front of you in some future promise. It's accompanying you. It's the manna that shows up daily, the insight for this hour, the strength for this challenge. The anxiety we feel is just us looking at the empty desert and panicking, instead of trusting the provision that operates on a completely different timetable. So when you felt that tug, that wasn't a mistake. That was your papers being served. The question is never, was I chosen? The question is always, am I now reporting as ordered? Are you showing up for the daily musters of silence and listening? Are you accepting the uniform of humility, letting go of your old, ragged identity of limitation? Are you trusting the logistics of the infinite, even when your physical eyes see no evidence? That inner agitation, that holy dissatisfaction, that's not you falling apart. That's you being assembled. That's the mobilization. But here's where we trip up. Every single time we get that divine nudge, that holy agitation, and instead of moving with it, we start negotiating. We start what I call spiritual Stallin. It's the art of using spiritual, sounding language to cloak a straight up refusal to trust the process. We treat the infinite like it's a corporate board that needs a 5-year business plan before it releases the funds. We get the go signal and we hit the spiritual snooze button. We say, I'm just waiting for clarity. But deep down, we're not waiting for clarity, we're waiting for a guarantee. We want the whole route mapped out on the screen, with traffic reports, estimated toll costs, and a guaranteed parking spot at the destination. That's not faith. That's a divine Uber ride, and that's not how this works. The lie is subtle. It dresses up in robes. I need to heal more from my past first. I need to take one more course, get one more certification. I'm just manifesting and aligning. Meanwhile, the opportunity, the movement, the S life, that's beckoning you is pulsating now, in this very moment. And it doesn't require your perfected resume. It requires your present. Yes. Joel Goldsmith was brutal about this. He said, we're not waiting for God to be ready. God, as infinite omnipresence, is always ready, always expressing. We're the ones who are unready. And our unreadiness is almost always a story we're telling ourselves. A story of lack, of not enoughness, of who am I to? That story is the stall. It's the ego's final defense, its most clever tricky, to make procrastination look like piety. Think about Moses at the burning bush. He got the ultimate draft notice straight from the mouth of the IAM. And what did he do? He stalled. Masterfully. Who am I? That's insecurity. What if they don't believe me? That's fear of man. I am slow of speech. That's pleading inadequacy. Every single one was a spiritual, sounding stall tactic. And every single time, the IAM didn't engage with the story. It just reiterated the truth. I will be with you. The provision is in the mission, not before it. The words come when you open your mouth. The path appears when you put your foot down. Your stalling is you arguing with the bush that's on fire and not being consumed. Trying to apply the laws of a world that doesn't even govern the situation you're in. We do this in a million small ways. We feel a pull to reach out, to create, to apologize, to start, to leave, and we spiritualize the hesitation. I'm just sitting with it. I'm letting it marinate. Now, discernment is real. But there's a razor's edge between holy discernment and cowardly delay. Discernment is a quick, inner knowing. Stalling is a loop of repetitive, fearful thinking. It's the mental rehearsing of disaster tapes. It's you, standing on the edge of the pool, shivering and talking about the temperature, while the water is fine. The mobility plan isn't activated by your analysis. It's activated by your abandonment, by your willingness to let the old story of you burn up in that bush, so that only the I am within you is what's left to move forward. So that feeling you have right now, that slight cringe, as you recognize your own stalling tactics in something you know you're called to do, that's good. That's the fire. Don't spiritualize it away. Don't lie to yourself that you're in preparation. If you're drafted, you're already equipped. The stall is the only thing between you and the parting of that sea. It's the last gasp of the identity that thinks it's in charge. You're not enough is the lie. Your I am is the only truth that needs to be spoken and it doesn't need perfect conditions to speak it. And that right there is the core of the confusion. We've been trying to navigate this whole journey using the wrong system. We've got God's GPS plugged in, but we're still white, knuckling the wheel, treating life like it's a beat up rental on a gridlocked freeway we gotta muscle through. That's your hustle. And it's exhausting. It's the grind mentality. If it's gonna be, it's up to me. Slogan that sounds empowering, but is actually a prison sentence. It's you believing you are the source, the engine, and the driver all at once. That's a heavy, lonely way to travel. Your hustle is all about force. It's about pushing doors marked pull. It's leveraging your willpower, your connections, your 5-year plan against a universe that operates on an entirely different frequency. God's mobility plan, that GPS, doesn't run on your hustle. It runs on grace. It operates on the principle of yield. It's not about you figuring out the route. It's about you agreeing to be the vehicle. See, the hustle comes from the mind. It's a calculation. It says, I have this much resource. That opportunity is that far away. Here are the 17 obstacles in between. So I must devise a 12-step strategy to overcome. It's linear. It's stressful. It turns you into a human calculator, constantly recalculating based on traffic, detours, and your own dwindling fuel. But the GPS of the spirit, it's not linear. It's dimensional. It doesn't just see the road, it sees through the mountains. It doesn't just avoid traffic, it shifts the conditions. Your hustle meets a wall and starts trying to build a ladder. God's GPS meets a wall and already knows the secret passageway built into the foundation of reality itself, a passageway only visible from a state of trust. Think of it like this: your hustle is you paddling a canoe upstream, sweat pouring, muscles burning, making incremental progress against the current. God's GPS is you finally having the sense to turn the canoe around, lift the paddles out of the water, and realize you were on a river flowing toward your destination the whole time. The current is the flow of divine grace, of infinite unfoldment. Your only job is to steer, not to provide the propulsion. The propulsion is a given. It's the law. The hustle is you fighting that law, trying to be the cause of your own movement. The GPS is you aligning with the cause that already is. This is where we get tripped up. We get a taste of the flow, something works out miraculously, and then the old hustle mentality jumps right back in. Okay, that was cool, God. I'll take it from here. We mistake the download for our own genius, and we immediately try to franchise the miracle through our own effort. We try to turn the manna that fell for today into a manufacturing business for tomorrow. We commodify the grace, and we end up back in the grind, wondering why the magic stopped. It stopped because you fired the navigator and decided you knew the way. The GPS is always on. You just stopped listening, thinking the hustle was smarter. Your exhaustion is the sign. That bone, deep tiredness, isn't a badge of honor. It's the red flag on your dashboard, telling you you're running on the wrong fuel. You're trying to power a spirit-driven vehicle with ego, gasoline, and it's knocking and sputtering. The relief you seek won't come from a better hustle, a more optimized grind. It comes from surrender to the navigation. It's letting the itinerary be unknown to your small mind, while your spiritual intelligence, that built-in receiver, follows the turn-by-turn guidance that often makes no logical sense. Turn left here, into a dead-end job. Merge now into a season of solitude. The hustle screams that's wrong. But the GPS sees the whole network. It's not avoiding obstacles. It's using them as part of the route to build your faith, to strengthen your trust muscles, to prove to you, beyond any doubt, that you are not the driver. You are the driven. And that's the moment of truth, isn't it? When the GPS tells you to drive straight toward what looks like a dead end, a wall of impossibility. The water's ahead, the enemy's behind, and every logical bone in your body is screaming there's no way out. This is where you get initiated into DARS, the Red Sea Parting Protocol. This ain't a metaphor we just read about. It's the operational manual for when you're cornered by your own life. See, your hustle would tell you to build a boat, or try to swim, or negotiate with Pharaoh's army. It would have you looking for tools within the visible scene. But the protocol bypasses all of that. It doesn't change the circumstances from the outside in. It reveals the inherent falseness of the obstacle from the inside out. The sea wasn't moved. The perception of it as an absolute barrier was dissolved. The protocol has one activation switch, a specific, unwavering command from the I am within. It's not a hopeful prayer. It's not begging the sky to intervene. It's the authority that comes from knowing your oneness with the source. When Moses stood there, he didn't say, "God, please, if you're out there, get me out of this." He spoke from the I am. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. That command, first to his own panicking mind, and then to the people, was the application of the protocol. It was the declaration that the power present was greater than the problem present. The parting was the visible, outward evidence of an inward spiritual fact that had already been established. The water didn't recede because the wind blew. The wind blew because consciousness had already yielded to a higher law. We face red seas daily. The diagnosis, the debt, the broken relationship, the dream that seems laughably out of reach. And we panic. We try to backtrack. We look for side exits. We freeze. The protocol demands the exact opposite action. It demands you move forward, toward the water, toward the impossibility, with no visible means of support. Your movement is the demonstration of your faith. It's you calling the bluff of the material picture. You don't wait for the path to appear and then walk. You walk in the conviction that the path is constituted under your foot as you take the step. The sea parts at the line where your faith meets the water's edge, not before. This is the critical flaw in our understanding. We want the parting, but we want it as a spectator. We want God to show us the dry ground first, so we can then, cautiously, toe across. That's not faith, that's divine tourism. The protocol requires you to be the very one who lifts the rod, who speaks the word, who takes the first step into the seeming nothingness. The power isn't happening to you. It's happening through, as you. You are the Moses of your own situation. The I Am that spoke through him dwells in you, as you. The command to stand still isn't about physical inactivity. It's about the stillness of your mental chaos, the ceasing of the fearful, internal narrative, so that the one authoritative voice can be heard and obeyed. When your inner world stops raging, the outer conditions have no choice but to follow suit and reorganize. So the sea in front of you, that immovable object, that no way out, isn't there to stop you. It's the set up for the revelation. It's the canvas upon which the invisible becomes visible. The world will always show you the sea first. Your spiritual sight must see the passage first. The protocol is the shift from being a victim of the landscape to being the conscious actor through whom the landscape rearranges itself according to a higher, hidden blueprint. The water will stand as a wall on your right and on your left, not to scare you, but to show you, in the most undeniable terms, that you are walking a path engineered by a law that makes a mockery of physics. You are not escaping your problem. You are walking through the middle of it, protected, while its very nature is being changed from a barrier into a testimony. That passage through the impossible, it changes you. It rewires your entire approach to existence. You can't go back to the old way. You've tasted the difference between forcing an outcome and being carried by a current of grace. This is the fundamental shift, sequence, from striving to arriving. Striving is the language of the external self, the ego identity, that believes it must earn, capture, and achieve its good, its future. Based, straining toward a horizon that always seems to move. It's rooted in the belief that what you seek is out there, separate from you, and you must cross a distance of effort or time to get it. Arriving, in the spiritual sense Joel laid out, is a present tense reality. It's the realization that what you seek, peace, wholeness, abundance, purpose, isn't a destination to be reached, but a condition of your own being to be recognized and unveiled. You don't strive for the kingdom. You arrive at the awareness that you are in it, here and now. Striving feels like digging. It's you with a shovel, sweating, trying to unearth a treasure you're convinced is buried deep. Arriving is the moment you put the shovel down, sit on the ground, and realize you've been sitting on the treasure the whole time. The digging was the distraction. The hustle, the constant self-improvement grind, the desperate networking, the frantic manifesting rituals, that's all striving. It's born from a sense of lack, from the nagging feeling that you are not yet enough, not yet ready, not yet worthy. But the divine draft notice declared your worthiness before you even showed up. Arriving is settling into that truth so completely that your actions are no longer attempts to become worthy, but natural expressions of the worthiness that is your inherent state. Think about it in terms of mobility. Striving is you running on a treadmill, faster and faster, panting, checking your progress on a screen that measures fictional miles. Arriving is you stepping off the treadmill onto a moving walkway. The forward motion is still happening. You're still mobile. You're still progressing. But the propulsion is not coming from your frantic effort. It's coming from the mechanism itself. Your job is to just stand upright, stay centered, and enjoy the ride. God's mobility plan is that moving walkway. The striving mind screams that this is lazy, that you must run to get ahead. The spiritual understanding knows that your alignment with the flow is the progress. Your peace is the proof you're moving correctly. This is why the chosen one can rest. Not rest into inactivity, but rest into a profound, unshakable certainty. The work isn't to build your destiny brick by exhausting brick. The work is to remove the mental blocks, the fear, the doubt, the old stories that prevent you from experiencing the destiny that is already yours, already established in the infinite mind. You're not painting a masterpiece on a blank canvas. You're carefully removing the layers of grime and dust from a masterpiece that already exists beneath. Every moment of inner stillness, every surrender of personal will, every act of trusting the GPS over your own mental map, that's not a passive pause. That's the active work of arriving. It is the most powerful action you can take because it aligns your consciousness with the causative force of the universe. So, the exhaustion you feel, that's the striving hitting its limit. That's the ego's engine seizing up. It's a gift. It's the signal that it's time to change modalities. Arriving looks like doing less while accomplishing more. It looks like a deep breath in the middle of chaos, a quiet, "I trust this," when logic says to panic. It's knowing that the right idea will come, the right person will appear, the right door will open. Not because you battered it down with effort, but because you are in your appointed place in the divine rhythm. And the provision is synchronized with that rhythm. You are not a beggar pounding on heaven's door. You are a child walking into a room where the table has already been set for you. Your journey isn't about covering ground. It's about awakening to the fact that you're already home, already whole, already equipped, and from that settled, arrived place, Your divine purpose moves you with an effortless and irresistible grace. So, what does that look like in the grit and the grind of a Tuesday morning? It boils down to a 3-part sequence, a spiritual cadence you can march to. Acknowledge, align, advance. This isn't a complicated strategy. It's the breath of the chosen life. It's how you operationalize the entire mobility plan. First, acknowledge. This is where you break the trance of the world. You stop in the middle of the noise, the pressure, the fear, and you acknowledge the one supreme fact: I am is here. Not as a distant wish, but as the very fabric of your being and this situation. You acknowledge the divine presence as the only power and the only reality. You look at the Red Sea, and before you see water, you acknowledge the omnipresence of God. You look at the empty bank account, and before you see lack, you acknowledge the infinite substance, that is, its source. You look at the conflict, and before you see an enemy, you acknowledge the one Christ, identity manifesting as both you and them. This acknowledgement is a radical act of defiance against the evidence of the senses. Others caught ignoring the problem, it's seeing through it to the spiritual truth that governs it. You are naming the real, making the invisible your primary fact. Other from that acknowledgement, you align. This is the surrender of your mental chatter, your personal will, your desperate plans. It's the conscious tuning of your entire being, your thoughts, your emotions, your expectations, to the frequency of that acknowledged presence. If you've acknowledged, I am is my supply, then you align by dropping the thoughts of worry and scrambling. You still your mind from its frantic scheming. You bring your thinking into agreement with the truth you've declared. This is where stand still happens. It's an inner stillness, a conscious yielding. You're not passively waiting, you're actively resonating. You're like a radio dial being finely turned until the static clears and only the clear signal comes through. You align your sense of self with the chosen one, the instrument of God, not the anxious human personality. You let the truths you've heard, that you are drafted, that the GPS is active, that the C parts become the substance of your consciousness, not just nice ideas. You feel for the current of grace, and you consciously lean into it, mentally and emotionally, letting it correct your course. Then, and only then, you advance. This is the movement, but it's movement of a different order. It's not the frantic hustle, forward of the ego. It's the inevitable forward step that emerges from the state of alignment. It is the action that is Chivers, given to you, not contrived by you. It's the word you feel prompted to speak, the email you're nudged to send, the application you're inspired to fill out, the phone call you're moved to make. It's the first step into the sea while it still looks like water. This advance carries no strain because it's not powered by your personal will. It's propelled by the conviction of your alignment. You advance because you can't not advance. The internal pressure of the truth you've acknowledged and aligned with must find external expression. The advance is the footfall of faith. It's often simple, quiet, and completely logical from the higher perspective, even if it seems nonsensical to the world. You don't advance to make something happen. You advance because something has already happened in the invisible realm through your acknowledgement and alignment. And your movement is simply the visible evidence catching up. You are walking out the reality that has already been established in spirit. This 3-beat rhythm. Acknowledge the truth. Align your entire being with it. Advance in the action it provides. Becomes your new default. It turns every moment, every challenge, into a fresh opportunity to practice the mobility plan. It takes you off the battlefield of problem solving and places you in the command center of spiritual realization, where you issue orders based on divine intelligence, not human panic. This is the chosen life in motion.